Alright, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our main conversation. The Guardian newspaper's October 25, 2024 lead story has ruffled feathers in the highest echelon of power in Nigeria. Presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga, in a statement over the weekend, accused the medium of intending to incite public unrest against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration by promoting calls for military intervention under the guise of journalism.
He said the story only superficially condemned military rule but used emotive language and imagery, like depicting a tank, to argue against the administration's policies.
But Frank Shaibu, an aide to former PDP presidential candidate Atiku criticized President Tinubu's spokesman Bayo Onanuga for condemning the Guardian's story on Nigeria's economic hardship. Onanuga had claimed that the story incited unrest and promoted regime change, calling its tone and the content irresponsible.
But Shaibu responded by saying Onanuga was shooting the messenger instead of addressing Nigerian struggles, asserting that the Guardian merely reflected the harsh realities faced by ordinary Nigerians.
He also argued that truthful reporting should not be blamed for unrest, suggesting instead that the administration consider why public sentiment is so critical of its policies. Now let's have our conversation. And joining us from Zambia, it's Barrister Evans Ufele, Barrister Law and Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning, Barrister Evans.
Good morning. Please speak louder. Good morning.
Thank you so very much. And how is Lusaka today?
Very well.
Thank you so very much for your time. And also still with us in the studios, Cyril Abaku. Thank you so very much for hanging on.
Thank you, sir.
All right, beautiful. All right, so let's get into our conversation. I'd love to start with you, Barrister Evans Ufele. It's often said that journalism is not a crime. Oppressing it is. Please help us flesh in that if it's possible.
Well, journalism is not a crime because it is inscribed by the Constitution. The 1999 Constitution in Section 22 gave the media a mandate to ensure that the government is held accountable to the people. And that mandate qualifies the media as the fourth estate of the realm, which means that the media actually is the fourth arm of government. Okay, so the duty of the media, therefore, is to hold government accountable to the people. And on the case on that reference, the newspaper in question has, captured the events and happenings of the now in Nigeria. Okay? And the president's spokesperson is against the messenger instead of concentrating on the message. Now, the newspaper has said that we are not calling for military intervention or takeover. We only raise the mirror. Of course, when you raise the mirror will capture everything and reflect things in the manner they are. That's exactly what the media did in this case. But because the government of the day, they are not doing well, not only are they not doing well, they don't intend to ever do well. And not only that, they also do not want anybody to say anything about it. Then you have the media that have a responsibility to say something about it. So you can see that the government is not interested in truthful reportage. They would rather that the media lie to the people. Just as they are lying to the people, rather the media do the same. But the media are taking a detour to rather hold government accountable to the people. And people are groaning in their helplessness and hardship. But the government have no clue on what to do, or have failed ostensibly to do what they ought to do, and is unwilling to ever remedy the situation. So it's going to be a long night for that country and our people. It's going to be a difficult one because I mean, those who make personal assertions and pronouncements like this are haunted and arrested. Those who are involved in other issues like the collective media and others are also haunted and are being vilified. So what else does the government want us to do? What does the government want us to do? This is a society that must be guided by law. And that law is critical. So there is no way the media will overlook what government is doing without, letting the public know. And there's no way civil society will sit down and watch without making expressions to ask that things change for good.
Thank you, Barrister Evans. Thank you. Cyril Abako, over to you. It's been believed that if you lose the security of a nation and to provide the welfare of the people, you've lost legitimately, even if you're legally sitting as a government. Can we say that this current administration is sensitive enough to know that because they've failed to provide both security and welfare of the people, this is pushing the people to the annex where they now have to walk up to security people or to the army to tell them to go sit in power? Can they categorically be sensitive enough to accept this and face what is on ground instead of pointing fingers at the media that they're passing a wrong notion?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the guy that didn't invent the story. The only reporter what they saw.
So
when we look at it, I mean, in media studies, there are different schools of thought. There are those who say the media should simply report what it sees. Some say, no, if you see it, you have to interpret it so that power can understand it. People can also. So there are different, and then again, this thing between the government and the government, or the media and power, we define things different. We can never define things the same way. What they don't want you to see is what is news. Now, the Guardian rightly pointed out, I mean, if you read the story, they were even the ones raising the alarm bell and saying something needs to be done urgently. Otherwise, in the days to come, calls from military coup will be more stringent. We did look at NSAS, the guy that didn't sponsor bad governance protest. People came out and did it on their own. In Kaduna, they raised Russian flags. The guy that did it social flags for the people. The guy that quoted the defense headquarters as saying that people were approaching them to take over power. In the defense spokesman, he gave the tweet. In the tweet said he said it was a wicked, he qualified it as being a wicked call. But if defense headquarters is saying that people are approaching us to strike, the question will be, why haven't we investigated those who are calling for such a strike? Why haven't we arrested them? Because let's be frank, democracy is better. Okay. Number two, again, calling for a change of government and unlawful change of government is treason. Okay, so people are pushing the army to do such a thing. Why haven't we have these people don't exist for nothing. Police intelligence, army intelligence, air force intelligence, navy intelligence, you have defense intelligence itself, you have NSA intelligence, all these people have there. You have the DSS. They don't know who is calling for what. People are calling for us to stay too cool. But it's a bad thing they're saying, and we're not interested in it. We want to follow the constitution to keep the country together. Okay? Then the guy that picks that and says that what the developers is saying is going to get more people are going to support the call for coup if government doesn't do something right. I don't see what is wrong with that. I honestly don't see anything wrong with that. For me, I think that instead of paranoia, are you aware, over the weekend, the IMF head for Africa, Abebe Selassie, was speaking in Washington, I think, and he said that Nigeria's something is a domestic policy. They are washing their hands off of it. That's what they've done. He said that policy of taking something off was a domestic policy, something they have been praising, and they have also told the government to remove it. They were. Because it was attached as conditions to loans. Now they are saying it's a domestic policy. In fact, it's not just this past weekend. If you look at last week, they have been quietly distancing themselves. The NLC came out and blasted them. They blasted them. So the reality is that conditions, Nigeria, I'm only a level of history. I'm not in any way advocating a type of government, God knows. But the fact is that we've been worse off, we've been in worse off conditions than when previous coups even took place. Which in a way for me tells me that there may be some sort of strong appetite for democracy now than just any military coup take place, because there's evidence in the books that if a military coup took place now, things will become better. As a matter of fact, we've gone from evil to worse evil. I said it last week. With every coup, Buhari kicked Shagari out. People said, thank corruption and thank God. What came of it? Buhari was worse. With the suitcase saga and all the things that are being with Anaja. After Buhari, Babangida, people thought, Babangida has come, he will end all the austerity of the Buhari era. Babangida wanted to hand over to civilian government for it took him 8 years until he said he was stepping aside. And look at what he left there, an international government, which a court of law said was not even didn't have a place to stand justice. The land back in Sonia. Thereafter we had Abubakar. Now we are. My concern is both the government and the people, in this case the media, should work in concert to make democracy stronger and deliver the debates of democracy to the people. If they are complaining about what the guy wrote, if you read what some columnists have been writing in the past 6 months or so, you'll be amazed. There was one that said Nigeria now exists only on paper, that everything is gone. A government in which a sitting minister is being accused of sponsoring, of being the brain behind banditry and terrorism. And they've left him there. On this man's watch, they turbaned a well-known terrorist. I gave him a title in Zamfara State. He's a minister today. We should say that and be happy. There was now in the newspaper review we are talking about somebody saying that the vice president also needs a new aircraft. They will buy it for him. They will buy it. There's evidence to even show that they've not already booked it to purchase it. You may hear by Friday night that they brought a new aircraft for him. These are and then people are dying of hunger. The other day there was a video of somebody who took his life in Abuja on a tree. We're not always like this. The concern is that the Guardian has pointed. Look, they were citing defense headquarters and saying that the headquarters is saying people should stop approaching them, so they cannot even generate the story. Then number two, in Edo State and in Kaduna. In Kaduna, during the protest, we were told that they went to they call it 10th division. Say, let's march, go and take back government. Why did the army arrest them? Then the ones in Edo who saw a Muslim moving military cover said, let us join them and let's go to Abuja and take the government. So when conditions are bad, people are bound to have this romanticized or idealized thinking that the military will just come and say one size fits all solution. It will not be, and I am warning that Nigeria does not need a military coup. Anybody thinking, conceptualizing, perpetrating, planning, supporting a coup in Nigeria today does not mean well for this country. I denounce coup in this strongest terms. But it is not to say that we are living in the best of times. We are not.
Beautiful. But Stefan Feli, and I think it's very important that, of course, just like Cyril did say, that we, of course, have an understanding, which, of course, we've always had, that military takeover is not the best bet. But let's take a look at this from the submission of Bayo Onanuga. His responsibility as a spokesperson to the president is to defend the constitution, defend the presidency, defend his principle as much as he can. But do you think there are better ways to do this without necessarily, calling out an institution which, of course, he used to be very much a part of symbolically?
Bayo Onanuga is suffering from relative amnesia. In fact, he suffers from two active intellectual distortion. One is selective amnesia, and the other is inability to absorb information and deduce and provide answers to problem correctly. So he has those two very active problems. Coupled with the fact that he's also working with the president who need to understand administration, or who need to understand what it is to lead a country and to brainstorm on policy and to develop policy intelligence. So it is not just by Onanuga, but that his boss is also a defective leader whose sense of understanding of history and economics of the country is blown far and gone by the wind. So, you see this combo is the most dangerous thing that ever happened to Nigeria. More so because if you are not doing well and you are approached to do things differently, and you take the advice and begin to develop to do things different, then we will be talking about hope. Here, they are not doing well. They are not listening to any kind of advice of what to do. You see how the World Bank and the IMF, you see how they are going about the process. Well, they know that now the country is just at the verge of crashing. If you take only God's grace for us not to get to the position of the Central African Republic, if you take only God's grace, because the way we are going, this steady decline, it might plunge Nigeria into a very serious crisis. When the country might be balkanized, rebels will begin to control institutions here and there. And to become a full-blown jungle, where it will take, because what have been destroyed so far cannot be repaired in the next 15 years. As of today, when we ask of today, we cannot resuscitate within the next 15 years. And we are still on that steady decline. Okay, we are still on that steady decline. Now, this is the time when this government should call for help. Okay, now, one by Onanuga is there saying it's not correct. Why should the Guardian be calling for military takeover? And when you read the story, you can't even see anywhere that is graphic and there's expressly stated that the people was calling for military takeover. It was in this editorial. Editorials that I understand about the newspapers are always forceful. Editorials are blended with truth and nothing but the truth, because an editorial is like an affidavit. It's like the oath of the paper, the newspaper. It's like their oath on the situation, like they're making an oath on the situation. So for me, I read editorials a lot, and I know how editorials are deployed, how the languages are put forth. I've read this over and over again, last night and this morning. There is nowhere where the Guardian was calling for.
Exactly.
Like it said, it only raised the mirror. And once you raise the mirror, I mean, the fact will speak for itself. That's what we call it in Latin. The fact then speak for itself. In fact, the Guardian need not even write that story. They need not write that story, because we are aware. We will know better and deeper than what the Guardian has written. Okay? So this is not for him to come and vilify. I mean, if you are doing otherwise, can you show the proof? If you are doing the contrary, if you have done anything meaningful, can you show the proof for that? As much as they cannot show the proof of the contrary, what the people have written, they still would not take it that the journalist is stating the truth and nothing but the truth. The Guardian have their motto, the conscious motto by truth. Okay? That is what they stand for. So why should you, with your ineptitude, and the truth is that I think the presidency or the president should be grateful for the Guardian for even going out there to collect stories and what is going on in the country. Yeah, they should be grateful for it. So that they should have used that as a feedback for the government and look for how to go correct the issue. But it's not a feedback. To them, the newspaper is against the government of the day. Who should not be against this government? Even the people who brought this government to power are against the government now. Outside the football was crying and shouting and clearing his clothes that the government he invested in, that he told people that if the government failed, they should hold him accountable. The government, now he knew the parable. The parable you do not remember when he was making that thing. That when monkey carried his child at the back and is moving, he does not know what the child collects from third party. He only knows about the fact that he's accountable to the child he has at his back. But whatever the child, whatever he collects, banana, biscuit and whatsoever, he cannot account for it. That's what he's saying now. Meanwhile, he said before that if this government said they should hold him accountable. The government has no role to it. It has completely diminished the hopes and aspirations of 200 million people plus, including women and children. So where exactly are we to remedy this situation? Where are we exactly to remedy the situation? I mean, it's because Nigerians are going to fight, that's why Onanuga have to come out and defend the independence. If we had organized ourselves properly and occupied the country, there is no room for the likes of Onanuga to come and tell public anything whatsoever.
Thank you, Barrister Evans.
The principal has to, the country has to.
Thank you so much, Barrister Evans Ifele. Now, Sir Labako, can we say we would have democracy by the year 2027 with the way the media is being frightened at this point? Because the media is not the hope of the people and through which they could actually be heard and be seen. And with the way the sitting government is actually fighting the media and trying to frighten them not to speak, can we say democracy would have a say or would still be something?
We'll be breathing by then. The point must be made. Anybody who has been a student of Nigerian journalism, Nigerian media, realizes that the media today is on crutches already. The Nigerian media is gasping for breath as I speak to you today. Because I, for one, as a student of media, right, up to master's level, the Nigerian media was born out of adversity. The Nigerian media the media helped us fight for independence. The media helped us kick out military rule. So Onanuga was at the head of I mean, it's someone I've met before, and we've had these stories. When he fled. If they would have killed him. The media helped us chase out Abacha and Coup. If the media hadn't been there, by now military probably still would have been on. Quote anywhere. But the question is what happened? After democracy came, okay, we sort of, the media sort of lost its way. Because politicians brought humongous money. It's a fact. You cannot be editor of a daily and be the political consultant to a senator. It's not going to work. That's what's killing the media in Nigeria today. You are doubling as a PRO, a representative to a bank, to a senator, to a minister, and you are the news editor. How are you going to be able to tell the truth as it is? We have politicians who have stuffed money into they stuff money in their mouth in a way that whatever they've given them can last them 10 years, 20 years. We are against stories in Nigeria. When you see these things, there are journalists who live in house that they wouldn't be able to build in 50 years. So when all of this has happened, the question would be, who are the people who are stuffing these monies into their pockets? And what is the benefit that they're going to reap from that? That is why they're here today. I'm sorry about this. There was even the highly celebrated story of two editors almost coming to fisticuffs in the newsroom over a story pertaining to a principal who was not officially the people who employed them. It's true. In fact, there have been senior editors who have had to lose their jobs on account of protecting the interests of their political principals. It is true. So the media already today is ideally the way reportage should have been over, with everything going on today. This is just, we are talking just the Guardian that waited, the whole hunger and everything has been on with us for almost since subsidy was taken away. We went from naira scarcity. At the point we started buying the naira. You remember that time?
Yes.
It was about late 2022. Now, that 2023, things haven't gotten any significantly better actually. We took subsidy off, we took everything off. That man that took his life in Abuja, where have you read that story? If you did a report on those who have even taken their lives on account of the suffering of facing, there are many of them. But this don't make it to the headlines. How about those who are that? So what I'm just telling you is that if the media were to be alive and well by now, either some people would have resigned or just say, you know what, please, we can do better, and would have really done better. But no, and the Guardian, for all you care, isn't even an academic medium. The Guardian is ideally supposed to be a diplomatic, like state the Guardian is a stately publication. They don't shout much, unlike Punch and Vanguard. The Guardian doesn't carry controversial stories at all. They just pick an issue. The headlines for long haven't even been newsy. They may go and pick something about malnutrition.
Yeah, exactly.
And make it. I was reading this story. It was sounding so academic and scholarly, actually. There is a very saprophytic, very big words. But the fact is, the truth remains. You can't change it. So that one person is managing to shout in the entire ocean. I think we should give them some kudos for even bravely doing a story like this. Frankly speaking, I have to say that the media can do it better, and I commend Enterprise TV because some of the stories that we boldly discuss on this table, not everybody may have the interest actually, or even attempt to take them on. So there is need for the Nigerian media to have a revival, a rethink. We're not even reporting these things as much. We're not, frankly speaking, we are not.
Thank you, Cyril Abako. Barrister Sufeli, this will be my last question to you. And the bigger question of legitimacy now, let's get into the legitimacy of this particular government. And the bigger question of legitimacy lies in the composition of the government or the governance infrastructure. Now, the legitimacy is also inclusive, which means democracy inclusive and inclusive government. Now, can this be a way to actually make the sitting government stand up if they could get to bring up inclusive government and inclusive democracy? Do you see that as a starting point to the problem of the sitting government?
Their policies are not yet well inclusive. That's really the cry now.
Are you still with us, Barrister? Yeah. All right, I think we're having some bit of a technical issue there. Cyril Abako, is it okay if you take on that?
Yeah, so would you like to repeat the question?
Barrister Evans, can you hear me?
All right, so yes.
Okay, we're talking about the bigger question of legitimacy, which lies in the composition of the government's infrastructure. And also, when there is an inclusive government, definitely it is a point to which we can have inclusive democracy. Do you see that finding way in the sitting government?
You know, the government, so I think that's the architecture of government. Yes, it matters, but it is not a long-term solution to anything. Now, look at this. A coup is not what we want. Bad governance is not what we want. We want a democracy that works. But democracy does not have a universal definition, apart from the one that Mikon gave to, which is a loose way of just describing how it emerges and what they should be doing. But in terms of who and who should make it work, there's no given rule book to it. Nigeria hasn't. It's like a joke. The way we constituted ourselves in the First Republic, and the way we did the Second Republic, and the way we attempted to do the Third Republic, and now the way we are in the Fourth Republic, they are all very different methods, but it is still the same people. Which means that it is either one of them was right, and we are trying to escape from what is good to what will suit some people, or none of them is right, and we are still looking for the right method to practice democracy with. Which means that we must go back to fundamentals. Making Nigeria work shouldn't be too difficult. But whether the ruling class, the political class, the power elite see it as the necessity itself or not is the issue. What I think Nigerians are looking for is for us to sit down and have a proper conversation on how we want to run. Because now they are saying military should take, the people on the street who are saying military. But the point is this: they will go in there. God forbid that. So they're not even going there. But the point is that there is no way any government can satisfy everybody. It's not going to work. So, but the only way that can happen is for us to first of all sit and discuss, agree on what any government should be doing. That way, once any government goes in, we have minimum expectations of what they should do. And they know so if they don't perform well, they can be ousted. But until we have done that, neither of the two is a solution. It is obvious. I mean, because we've been there, done that. Somebody will have and say, National Theatre, Third Mainland Bridge, almost all the things we can think of. Well, people to us that we know. We know how those are. We are talking about legitimacy. Legitimization, regime legitimization is something that every government seeks to do once it comes into office, whether civilian or not. And they do that by what they call charm offensive. That is to say, the first thing you do to some people to accept you, to believe in you, all well and good. Any and every government will do that. But the point is that where we are today, the president has lost the window of taking the first step. The first step he took was remove subsidy. Second step, float the naira. Then after that, what followed? Everything that followed is everything that's followed. Everything just playing together like a jambalaya. We can't remain there. We must. There is the need for either the National Assembly to convoke an emergency session.
Is it possible?
Which they will not do, right? Which they will not do. Or the president, because there's no way you want to try to fix this problem now. You see what I mean? National Assembly says it's not possible. If I say the cabinet now, you ask me who appointed them in the first place. So almost everything has come to that place as if we are at the standstill. We'll make motion, but there will be no movement. I just hope that, like the author I read this morning was saying, we have 1 minute to midnight. It's a window for us to do the need. Otherwise, I'm able to say the advisor went there. When we were talking about the inevitable back and everything just splitting and going haywire. Yes, we are approaching that brink. Can't they see it? We are.
Okay, so Rabako, if you're to give an advice or if there is a sentence or a word you would actually give to the government on how to come out of this situation.
It is simple. If you read the Bible in Isaiah chapter 3, the prophet was talking about God angry with Israel and saying, you know what, you know the first thing God said? He said, he will sack their judges, sack their police, sack. The first work of the state is security. Because if without security, you can't even talk of freedom. So I'll sack the police IG and retire, then look for the one among that is the most qualified, most competent, that can do the job. Put him there, give him a reasonable degree. You just run the police. Then hurriedly, when I mean hurriedly, not hastily, but like speed up judicial reforms and make sure that only those who are able to who have independence of mind and can fear their judges, put them there. They call it judicial activism. Put justice who are fearless. Then all those you can sack and appoint without much trouble. Go around the world and look for the best Nigerians you can find. Because for everything you want to solve, once you have the best one for that job, you are taken care of. But the president will sack 5 appoints. Now look at better. You are sacking Ojo or Hana who travel to Anambra with how much? 20 million or so to fuel 6 cars. But better you let her get. So how do we reconcile these things? Well, you quickly do that. Make sure that you secure that enforcement. Then go around the world. There's this woman Okolo who in American Nigeria. She invented I forgot what she's doing. She's on Forbes 100 most powerful now. What do we do? Scout for people who are thinking in step with the time. Bring them home and put them in government. Then there should be a think tank that is like a government auditor. Okay, they can independently look at policies, look at programs, and advise government. The time for economic management must pass. You need an EMT management team. You need another team on innovation and strategy. There are I think about 3 or 4 of them like that you need to appoint. Get scholars. The Nigerian Congress of Vice Chancellor, what are they doing? Running university that don't produce anything. The whole conference to issue communicate. Put them to work. They should give us solutions. The Nigerian Mathematical Society, they're holding a conference. What can math add to Nigeria? All of these things that they bring these things together and look at how you can. Then, when you do this, in my opinion, at the earliest, give Nigerians a moratorium on electricity. They have suffered too much. They should enjoy life for free, at least between anything 1 to 15 years. They should be celebrating. Then you can do a whole lot more. There are many things. I mean, I've said them randomly. But there seems not to be any serious-minded determination. Look at the police IGP standing as you need it overnight for For what? How? What has it done to improve policing in Nigeria?
Thank you so much, Sir Labako. We could feel your pain and
Exactly.
we could actually
And
feel.
I sincerely hope and pray that we won't descend to that level in Cameroon, for example, where Paul Biya, who of course came into power in 1982 and has still been in power till today. Just most of them, yes. Yes,
We should be worried. Do you know that it looks as if we're about to turn the service into an government place?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Are you aware of
Yeah,
that? That is heading.
Yes, exactly.
It looks like there are people are heading in South is heading to a place where it will become a totally ungoverned territory.
Yeah, very true.
You just imagine that.
Yeah.
And you think that if it happened in your neighbor's garden, it can't happen in yours.
Yes.
I don't think we should follow the house and allow these people destroy this country.
Very, very true.
Sincerely speaking.
Very, very true. Well, we sincerely hope that those in authority are listening and understand the issues at hand, and equally, brace up to the fact that they have to salvage the situation, or if they don't, just like we often say, nature abhors a vacuum.
Sure.
We do not hope for the worst, but of course, we hope to prevent it. Thank you so very much, Sir Labako.
Thank you, Sir Labako.
And also, by Stefan Sufeli, just because of course, network issues and all that, we had to, allow him go. But thank you so very much, by Stefan Sufeli. Joma, thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
All right. That's just about the time we have for you today. We'd love to say thank you to you. But please do well to follow us and equally be part of our community. You can always visit us to see more of these, read more, and visit us at enterprise.tvnews.com. You may equally like, follow, and subscribe. You can find us at enterprise.tv7. I am Henry Ikubikin.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.